Hello and welcome to what's possibly part 3 of this trip to Dartmoor. I've just done a world camp on in Buttern Hill Stone Circle, so see the previous video for that if you haven't already. And I'm now going to do an early morning walk to Chagford, and I'm going to try and take in at least one, hopefully, Scorhill Stone Circle. Possibly might see some other antiquities along the way, depending on how my feet are feeling. I do seem to have a slight issue with my left foot there. It's rubbing a bit. This is part of the Megalith Express network on Dartmoor. There do seem to be these possibly quite old tracks that link at least some of the stone circles. Moor is looking quite different this morning from how it was yesterday. Yesterday, you know, I was being spoiled by those blue skies and sunshine, and it's a bit more like the moor one might expect today. A bit grey and brooding. Cute is that? It's like a little Zen garden island surrounded on all sides by bogs. Can you see it yet? This is Scorhill Stone Circle. I think this is often cited as being one of the best looking on Dartmoor. I've only seen a handful so far, but I think I would be inclined to agree that is a very evocative and aesthetically pleasing stone circle. I think part of the reason it gets these commendations for good looks is it just has taller stones than the rest. This chap here is it's got to be over 2 meters. I'm 1.8, so that's probably 2 and a bit meters. But, I think I saw described somewhere the stone circles of Dartmoor are often parochial in character, which is a charming word to use for megaliths. You know, and whereas Stonehenge is perhaps a grand Gothic cathedral like Salisbury nearby, the stone circles on Dartmoor, predominantly Bronze Age, I think. They're more your sort of quaint country church. But that is actually really lovely. And I don't think there's any suggestion that these stones were dragged from Wales, from the Preseli Mountains or anything crazy like that. This is obviously, I'm fairly sure, this is just local stone from Dartmoor, but that's not to diminish having myself lugged a possibly 14-kilo backpack across the moor overnight, yesterday, sorry. You know, these would not have been easy to move, these stones, especially the very tall 2 and a bit meter stone over there. To lug those across the terrain of Dartmoor, where, you know, there's no hope for flat, easygoing tracks around here. It's all bumpy and up and down and boggy. So some considerable effort went into getting these stones here in the Bronze Age, I think, we think. And we know not why, of course. It's a bit unfortunate really that the Scorhill Stone Circle is outside of the permitted wild camping map on Dartmoor. I suppose you could sort of understand the logic for excluding some well-known historic sites for fear of vandalism or people starting fires in the middle or whatever. So this wouldn't have been an option for camping in last night, but it would have been nice. It makes you wonder why was it built. I think referring back to my previous Dartmoor video when I was here back in February, one small error I made is to refer to the is it the 9 stones or the 9 ladies near Bellstone as a stone circle, and I think there is a distinction between a stone circle and a cairn circle. The 9 stones, 9 ladies Bellstone tour is a cairn circle, so that is more actually the perimeter of probably a burial site. and there may have been other material of building on top of the stones to form some sort of barrow or cairn type thing, whereas stone circles proper are sites like this where I think archaeologists are fairly confident there wouldn't have been one big structure over the top of this. This would have looked more or less like this when it was built, and obviously more of the stones would have been standing up, and there might have been further stones that have been lost, but it was meant to be an open air structure, probably for some sort of ritual use, but we don't really know. Perhaps not ritualistic, perhaps this was more of a meeting place, a sort of a council hall, like a town hall but outdoors, for the people who lived on this part of the moor. A stone bridge there. Oh, is that a leat rather than a purely natural stream? That looks, you know, given how flat it is. A couple of very attractive, these clapper bridges, a very Dartmoor thing. And I think here we have at least one, possibly two branches of the river Tin. I'm calling it Tin because it flows out to sea at Teignmouth. It's definitely Teignmouth, spelt the same way. Obviously there is a temptation to say Tain because it's T-E-I-G-N, but I'm reasonably sure it's Tin, not Tain. Quite a nice spot. Strange to see trees on Dartmoor. I suppose I am near the edge of the moor. One of the fascinating things about stone circles on Dartmoor is that no one really knows quite how many there are, and they keep being discovered. I forget the exact date, but at least in the 21st century there has been at least one new stone circle discovered on Dartmoor. And you know, to a certain extent, whenever you see a sort of collection of rocks at a distance, it's kind of tempting to think, is that one? I'm not sure in that case, but you know, there are a lot of rocks. There are a lot of rocks lying around on the ground on Dartmoor, so easy for stone circles to get lost. Coming up to Batworthy Corner, which is, as far as I can tell, just a corner of a stone wall. There's Batworthy Farm somewhere in there. I think it's a farm. So here are a set of stone rows. You get a lot of these on Dartmoor. I'm not sure of the specific name of this group of stone, but we're on sort of the edge of Chagford Common is over there, and I think that's Kestor Rock. I suppose reminiscent of the West Kennet Avenue. They do seem to be lined, you know. Here the stones are on both sides of this track path. It's quite narrow, suggesting some sort of ceremonial procession route. And then is there possibly a former pair of standing stones here, now recumbent, that word once again, and they carry on. This almost feels like a circle here, because of the way you have these multiple lines of avenues of stone rows. Let's follow it a little bit further up the hill and see where we get. There's a tiny little section there. It had stopped just over the brow of the hill down that way, and there's just these 4 stones left in this section. All the others have presumably been removed or are buried now. It's great. It's like not quite a stone circle all by itself, it's a stone square. It's It's a site for rituals for one. The solo ritualist. Somebody who is less gregarious perhaps, likes the idea, making some kind of offering to some unknown being, but you know, wants a bit of privacy and solitude whilst doing it. Now that, by Dartmoor standards, is quite the megalith, because it must be, what, 3 meters tall? I think that is the single tallest standing stone I've seen to date. Dartmoor, just compare it to my height, could be more than 3 meters. Significantly taller than I am. The long stone, once again like the white moor stone, it seems to have been marked. Is that DC for Duchy of Cornwall? Not sure how I feel about that. Well, I do know how I feel about that. I think it's a bit inappropriate, but there you go. You know, ignoring the vandalism by the Duchy of Cornwall there, that is quite the megalith. Definitely worth the detour. I like that. This is marked on the OS map as Kestor Rock, and Kestor has no space in it, it's all one word. So maybe this is actually, I was wondering why this doesn't qualify as a tour, but perhaps it is Kes space tour, and for some reason the rock is called out on the OS map. I don't know. Shall we go and take a look from the top, see what the view's like? Not sure what's the best route to clamber up this thing, but I'm sure there are multiple options. There we go. A nice sort of rock pool there, and well, it's a bit grey now, but you know, in theory pretty good views of the surrounding landscape. I suppose, is that Chagford over there? Hoping to get to for a second breakfast, just like the hobbits. I think there's a path this way. I'm trying to cut the corner off a bit here, going a more direct line to Chagford, which I can see over there. I think that's Chagford. Robin, very tame. I think there is a little lane here. I'm leaving them all. There's a little lane. Wow, it's got character. This rocky lane, I believe, will take me to some footpath or other down here, then connects the road, then connects to Chagford. But look at this, what a treat. I don't know, is it more like just the a dry stream bed, or is that weird? A bit further down there's some water running here, so that's what it is. A stream that oddly has a wall either side. Okay, back on an actual footpath now, that's reassuring. Well, this couldn't be more different from walking on the moor. Suddenly greenery and trees. Almost forgotten what they look like. It's a lovely patch of woodland with all these little streams. Perhaps it's just one stream I've been seeing multiple times running through it. That's the way that's sort of somehow underneath the stile there. Oh, and a causeway. It's quite boggy underfoot. Beauty. Almost looks like it's sort of part of that silver birch. I think that's silver birch tree there. Joined practically at the base. The path I'm following here is actually part of the Two Moors Way, which links Dartmoor and Exmoor. So presumably if I continued in this direction I'd get to Exmoor. which I'm not going to do today. This is the little village, possibly hamlet, of Tinkham. Just like, you know, the Australian phrase, fair tinkham, mate. Not quite. And I assume some part of the River Tin flows through here. Stopping for a water break along this bridleway. This country lane is lined with some absolutely massive stones. You know, I don't know if you can see the lean on that. How is that held in place? Lichen. Beautiful. I'm much enjoying my Easter Saturday morning stroll through these Devon country lanes on the edge of Dartmoor. One of the special things about Dartmoor and the area around it is how much water there is. I don't seem to be able to walk more than 5 minutes without crossing over a stream or walking by one. And so, you know, if ever in future I'm on Dartmoor and complaining about the fact that it's raining, please tell me to stop, because if it weren't for the fact that it rains so much on Dartmoor, we wouldn't have this abundance of streams and rivers. Devon, you are really spoiling me. Oh, sorry, squirrel, startling you there. We're now on a road a bit more like one I expected, but it's not without its charms. That, I think, is Holy Street Manor. The sign on the gatepost there says Holy Street Mill, but it's Holy Street something or other. Seems like I'm entering the outskirts of Chagford now. Perhaps this would be a good time to remove the gaiters. Looks a bit unseemly in town. Bit of a hill to climb. Daffodils, nice, sort of coming to their end a bit. It's a decent bunch. This is Chagford. I don't think I've been to Chagford before. Thought I'd visited most of the villages on Dartmoor, but Chagford is not ringing any bells. Tell you what, there's no shortage of cafes in Chagford. Sorry, excuse me. Counted about 7 already. A lot of seating in Chagford. So I thought I'd come to the churchyard, see if I can find a bench here. Quite pretty. The daffodils. Found a nice bench to while away the time until the bus goes. So unless anything else happens, I will say goodbye now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that probably multi-part expedition onto Dartmoor, stone circles and everything. I enjoyed that trip very much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.